Hey guys, welcome back to another video on my channel. Today we're going to be exploring 3 different rotoscoping tools and see which of these 3 options would perform the best. So we're going to be comparing Premiere Pro's new object masking feature, Roto Brush, which is a built-in plugin for After Effects, and lastly Mask Prompter, which is a third-party plugin you can purchase on AEScripts. So both of the example shots we're going to be looking at today are green screen plates, which means we needed to get a really accurate key and roto so the end composite is believable. Otherwise, if you had some edges that didn't line up properly, the illusion would be lost. Also, we have 2 different kind of comparisons today because as you can see on this first shot, the green screen wasn't lit properly, so the keying was quite difficult, which is my fault. Therefore, I had to do a lot of manual rotoscoping in Mocha. For the second shot, which is actually from the previous video I uploaded, I used keying and a mix of Mask Prompter and manual rotoscoping. Before I go ahead with the video, I just want to say a big thank you to everyone watching the previous video, which was episode 1 of this behind the scenes series I'm doing about these cinematic shots that we created for Artlist. I am currently working on episode 2, which is going to be production day number 2. And in this video, we're actually going to be discussing the rotoscoping process for one of these shots, which is actually my favorite shot out of all of the ones we did. So if this is any interest to you at all, please consider subscribing to my channel so you don't miss out the next episode. And if you haven't seen episode 1, you can also check that out. Now onto the video. So we're going to start with this shot, and this is what the final shot looked like. I was very curious to see how this new object masking in Premiere would perform the rotoscoping on this shot, because I tried to use Mask Prompter and Roto Brush and neither of them actually ended up working. It is completely understandable because a lot of the colors do mush together, and also we used a lot of fog, so everything is quite diffused and kind of blending together. So there isn't really many contrasted areas. But this was kind of the best approach to shooting this shot because we had to diffuse the practical lighting to match the lighting in the CG environment. And therefore I had to do the entire roto manually, which was not fun. It's worth noting that I did manage to key out some parts of Diana. So in this video, I'm gonna focus on the parts that I had to rotoscope manually. Also, I mastered on the practical ground because that's actually something I kept in the shot. You can see I just matched the CG ground to the practical ground. Also, each of these examples I'm going to be talking about today were improved using the Refine Hard Matte effect in After Effects, which is a built-in plugin, by the way. Let's look at object masking first for this shot. I'm using a blue overlay so we can see where the edges don't really line up properly. So it did a pretty good job actually, considering that the other plugins couldn't get as good of a result. There are parts I could actually use, which I have to rotoscope, which is some of the skirt around the edges, you know, where the green screen stopped, for example. It is like definitely sticking to her dress. It's not very jumpy, but if you look at the hands or the candle holder or even like the face, you can see it's very, very jumpy. Alright, moving on to Roto Brush, for which I used a red overlay. The dress actually is rotoed pretty good. I did this project in the beginning of this year, so I believe I'm using a newly updated Roto Brush, but regardless, it is kind of losing some of the dress in some parts, but there are actually some parts of this roto that works quite well and I could have used it. I had to mask out the candle holder and the candle manually. And as you can see, Roto Brush did not handle that part very well at all. It's very jumpy. Moving on to Mask Prompter, for which I just used a white overlay. This plugin actually gave me the worst result. At parts it's jumping between the background and the character, so even parts where like the skirt is, I would have to clean those parts up and that would just add extra time compared to any of the other ones. If you check around their hands and the candle holder and the candle, you can see it's really, really bad. I mean, even if you look at her face, the masking is just so loose that it's just really not usable at all. So here's all of them side by side compared to the final roto I did. The rotoscoping for this shot took about 2 days. So possibly I could have saved some time, I think, especially using the new object masking from Premiere. Alright, moving on to the next shot. Let's just go straight into comparing the different rotoscoping tools for the next shot. This is what the final shot looked like, just so you have a reference. So here's object masking compared to the final roto. It's not bad, but you can notice some of the edges are not really lining up. So we do have a green screen and I got a really good key from this. However, when the practical lighting hits him from the back, you do lose some of the detail, which I had to rotoscope back. So ideally, it would be best if we could use this masking to add those parts back. However, it did take longer to rotoscope the parts that are outside of the green green screen, so I'm more interested in seeing how those are looking. Just going through the timeline, you can see it picked up some of the black outline of the green screen, which is not the best because we'll have to clean that up. Also, when the practical lighting hits him from the back, you do lose some of the rotoscoping on the shoulder, which again, you'll have to fix that. Overall, it's a pretty solid base, so we could actually work from this. Let's move on to Roto Brush. Honestly, this one looks pretty good. You can see it's not losing the jacket when the lightning hits him from the side, and that's quite good. That's actually better than the object masking. Unfortunately, however, this one also picked up the black outline of the green screen, so again, that would have to be fixed. Alright, moving on to Mask Prompter. So immediately, I'm going to go and check the black outline of the green screen, and it didn't pick it up, but it is very jumpy, so again, this would have to be manually rotoscoped, which I did have to do. Also, you'll see the bottom of the frame is kind of cut off. It's a little bit annoying, but there is a quick fix of just using Rotobrush's Roto and just adding that part back from that. So here's all of them side by side. When I was working on this shot, I did actually use Mask Prompter for this, and it worked pretty good. I did save, I think, around a day of rotoscoping because it did get the edges of the jacket outside the green screen pretty well. So can you use these in a professional setting? Well, I have used both Mask Prompter and Roto Brush on high-end projects, but now I will probably also try object masking in Premiere Pro and see how that performs, because they seem to be working better at different scenarios, so you just need to try each of them and see which gives you a decent result. I will say Roto Brush seems pretty similar to object masking in Premiere, but object masking seems to be a little bit better because it was recognizing the character a bit better. The thing is, each of them still require quite a bit of manual work because you can only use either parts from them, or you need to be cleaning up different parts of the roto. Sometimes it's quicker to do them manually, like how I showed you in shot 1. And sometimes they actually do work pretty well and can save you time, like I showed you in shot number 2. Also, for both of these examples I showed you today, the tenant had to be keyed and masked out entirely. But if you're not working on chroma keying plates, then you often don't need to roto entire people or objects, just the parts that would cover certain areas that you need to roto back. So it really depends on what shot you're working on, so you need to just maybe try a few different options and see if it's actually saving you time or if manual is the way to go. Thank you for watching this video, guys, and let me know in the comments if you use any of these automated roto tools or any of the other ones, because I'm pretty sure there's the goodbye green screen as well, which I haven't got, so I couldn't test out. And I would be curious to hear why you prefer to choose a specific one over another one. Also, just before I end the video, if you're looking for any professional stock video assets for visual effects or editing, please check out my company Visual Effects Pro. Links are going to be in the description. Thank you. Bye.